A century ago he fell in battle, until she found his helmet, and inside it read, "Find M. Beginning." The rain fell in sheets across the ruins of the battlefield, washing mud into the trenches that had not seen soldiers in 100 years. A century had passed since the War of Unification, the final great conflict that had left much of the world burned, fractured, and broken. Yet, time had not erased its scars. In some places, rusty machines still sat where they had collapsed, and bones lay hidden beneath earth and moss. Dr. Lara Vey, archaeologist and historian of ancient warfare, stood ankle-deep in the muck of what had once been the Iron Valley. She brushed water from her visor, her eyes narrowing as her gloved hands lifted an object from the ground. It was a helmet. Not just any helmet. The design matched none she had cataloged before. Sleek, silvered, still humming faintly with dormant energy nodes embedded into its crown. Unlike rusted relics of the past, this helmet looked almost alive. Etched into its inner lining was a phrase, weathered yet visible through the grime. "Find M." Ilara froze, her heart quickening. The Unification War had been fought with ordinary weapons, tanks, and crude mech frames. Nothing like this. The helmet's technology was centuries ahead, as though it had not been built by the armies of men at all. The words drew her deeper. Find M. Who or what was M? And why did she feel as though the helmet were waiting for her? Middle. Ilara carried the helmet back to her research station. The mobile lab was small but equipped with the best tools of the era. Molecular scanners, energy analyzers, and a library of archived war reports. Her assistant, Kai Dorn, a former soldier turned researcher, watched as she placed a helmet on the table. "That's not standard issue," he muttered, leaning closer. "Looks like experimental tech. Dangerous to touch." "Dangerous is why we're here," Ilara replied. She activated the scanner, and a wash of blue light revealed circuits hidden beneath the alloy, patterns resembling neural pathways. The helmet wasn't just protection. It was an interface. "What does it say inside?" Kai asked. Ilara hesitated. She hadn't told him yet. "It says, find M." Kai frowned. Could be a commander's code name, or a unit designation. "No," Ilara whispered, studying the flowing etchings. This wasn't mass-produced. It was personal. That night, Ilara dreamed. She was not herself, but someone else. She stood beneath a blood-red sky, holding a blade of light in her hand. The battlefield stretched endlessly, fire raining from above. Around her, soldiers in shimmering armor shouted her name, though she could not hear it clearly. And then an explosion. Pain. Darkness. The last thing she saw was a helmet tumbling from her grasp, its inside glowing faintly with the words, "Find M." Ilara woke gasping. The helmet sat on her desk, faintly glowing now as though it had awakened. Over the following weeks, she traced old archives, searching for clues. The War of Unification had official records, but they were fragmented and censored by governments desperate to control history. Yet whispers persisted of the Ghost Battalion, a unit that appeared suddenly on battlefields, wielding strange weapons, turning tides, then vanishing without trace. Every description matched the figure in her dream. Kai noticed her obsession growing. "Ilara, you're slipping. You're dreaming about it. You're hearing it. That helmet isn't just a relic. It's doing something to you. I have to find him," she insisted. "It's not random. It's a message left for someone for me." One night, she placed the helmet on her head. The lab dissolved around her. Suddenly, she stood again in that other world. Red skies, thunderous battle. But this time, a figure approached. A soldier, tall and armored in the same silver alloy. His face was scarred, his eyes burning with sorrow. "You found it," he said. His voice echoed inside her mind. "Who are you?" Ilara asked. "I am Captain Jorankale of the Ghost Battalion. I fell here a century ago, but part of me remained inside this." He gestured to the helmet. "You hold my memory, my promise." "What does find him mean?" she asked. His gaze hardened. "It means you must find Mira. She was our leader, our heart. When I fell, I swore to find her, but I could not. She was taken, lost in the storm of war. Without her, everything failed. The battalion, the mission, the peace we were meant to secure." Ilara shook her head. "But that war ended 100 years ago. Mira will be long dead." "Not Mira," Kale said. "She was not like the others. Neither was I. We were altered, experimented on. Half human, half machine, linked to the grid of the world. We do not die as others do. But without her, I am incomplete. Find her and you'll understand." The vision shattered. Ilara ripped the helmet off, gasping. Kai grabbed her shoulders. "Ilara, what did you see?" She trembled. A soldier. He says we have to find Mira. Kai swore under his breath. You realize what this means? If this is true, those experiments, that battalion, they weren't myths. They were real. And if Myra's alive, she could change everything we know about the war, about humanity itself. Ilera whispered. The search consumed them. They followed old data trails into forbidden archives. They bribed war historians, decoded broken transmissions, traced whispers of secret labs buried deep beneath mountains. Every step drew them closer, and more dangerous. Shadows began following them. Drones hovered too long near their station. Someone else wanted Mira found, or perhaps silenced. One night, their lab was attacked. Black-clad operatives stormed in, weapons humming. Ilera and Kai barely escaped with a helmet, fleeing into the wastelands. As they hid among the ruins, Kai turned to her. Whoever Mira is, someone doesn't want her found, which means she's still alive. Ilera clutched the helmet. And I promised him. I promised Kale. We have to keep going. Climax. The coordinates led them at last to an underground bunker sealed beneath centuries of rubble. Breaking through, they found long corridors of glass chambers. Cryogenic pods, most shattered, their inhabitants long turned to dust. But one chamber still glowed faintly. Inside lay a woman. Her hair floated around her head, like ink in water, her skin pale, almost luminous. Machines pumped softly, keeping her alive. On the glass was etched a single letter. M. Ilera's breath caught. Mira. As they activated the pod, the helmet pulsed in Ilera's hands. The glass hissed open, and Myra's eyes fluttered awake. Eyes like molten gold, burning with a light not human. You found me, Mira whispered, her voice soft but carrying weight. She looked past Ilera, straight into the helmet. Kale, you kept your promise. And then Ilera understood. Kale was inside her mind still, bound to the helmet, his soul fragmented but waiting. Mira had been his final vow. Suddenly, alarms blared. The black-clad operatives had found him. Armed with advanced rifles, they poured into the bunker. They can't take her. Ilera shouted. Mira stepped forward, weak but fierce. Energy rippled from her body, slamming soldiers back. She raised her hand, and their weapons froze midair. You slept long enough. A voice snarled. Their leader entered, tall, armored in sleek obsidian plating. Mira of the Ghost Battalion, you belong to us. You are the weapon we never finished. Myra's golden eyes flared. I belong to no one. The bunker erupted in chaos. Mira unleashed storms of energy, tearing machines apart. Kai fought to protect Ilera, dragging her behind cover. The helmet burned hot in Ilera's hands until she realized it wanted her to wear it again. She placed it on her head. Kale's voice thundered, Together, Ilera? Suddenly, she was moving with skill not her own, wielding light, deflecting fire, striking with precision. She was herself, and Kale, human and memory, fused. Together with Mira, they shattered the enemy. The bunker collapsed, walls caving in. At the last moment, Mira shielded them, her power glowing like a sun. When silence fell, the soldiers were gone, dust in the ruins. But Mira knelt weakly, her body flickering with unstable energy. Without Kale, I cannot be whole, she whispered. Ilera's chest tightened. She knew what had to be done. The helmet, the fragment of Kale, was not meant to live forever inside her. Mira, Ilera said, her voice breaking, take him back. Mira reached out, her hands trembling. Ilera lifted the helmet, and energy surged between them. Kale's voice whispered a final time. Thank you, Ilera. You found her when I could not. Light poured from the helmet into Mira, and in that moment, her golden eyes softened with relief. Kale, she breathed, you've come home. The helmet crumbled into ash. Ending. In the days that followed, Mira recovered. She explained the truth. The Ghost Battalion had been engineered to end the war, but when leaders realized their power, they tried to erase them instead. Kale had fallen protecting her, and only his last desperate act, binding his essence into his helmet, had saved her hope of ever being found. Now Mira was free, but she was no weapon. I will not fight their wars again, she said to Ilera, but I will help rebuild. Perhaps now, at last, the world is ready for peace. Ilera nodded, though part of her heart ached with Kale's absence. Yet she knew. She had carried his final vow to its end. She had found Mira. She had fulfilled his promise. One evening, as the sun set over the ruins of Iron Valley, Ilera stood with Mira and Kai. The battlefield stretched silent, no longer a place of death but a memory. The helmet was gone, but its words lived on, etched forever in her mind. Find them. And she had. The war was a century behind them, but the future, rebuilt on truth and sacrifice, was just beginning.